Apple just isn't the same anymore, and we're no strangers to that feeling. iPhone releases have been on repeat since the iPhone 6, just with a new number in its name and more cameras. Maybe a new color palette, and Apple's experimented on the side with devices like the dystopian Vision Pro, the highly anticipated Apple Car, or trying to rebrand AI from artificial intelligence to Apple Intelligence. Very classy. At least we have two fewer synonyms to worry about, eh? Most people can attribute this decline to the company's decision to replace innovation with a spreadsheet by having Tim Cook succeed Steve Jobs. But while Steve got the job done, Tim forgot to cook it all. And we've seen that with Apple's recent string of failures, which began with getting you to drive to your nearest Apple store faster, the Apple Car. Kicking off with the car Apple spent 10 years building between 2014 and 2024, we have Project Titan, better known as Apple Car. Essentially, industry concerns that what the iPhone was to smartphones, Project Titan would be to cars. And by 2018, there were 5,000 employees working on the project, with the BBC reporting that the company had 66 driverless cars registered and 111 drivers for those cars. The car was rumored to come out in 2024, but analysts didn't believe it would come out before 2025, but instead maybe into the 2030s. They were half right, half wrong, as Apple effectively cancelled the project in February 2024, choosing to chase the bubble that is AI. It went through multiple redesigns over the decade, and as with all highly anticipated Apple products, the internet threw up hundreds of pieces of concept art, but here are my top 3 picks. The first one is super futuristic, with a metallic grey body, windows that seem to blend in with the car, and the Apple logo at the front, reminiscent of older MacBooks. The second reminds me of the Mercedes Bayern with its curved tinted glass roof, 2 white seats, and wheels that do their best to look either like the future of travel or the dystopian world we're all heading into. And the third image gives off the vibe of being different, kind of like the Cybertruck, where every other driver takes their eyes off the road to take a peek at your specs. Sure, it would have been nice to drive your Apple car around your neighborhood, showing off to passerbys and maybe even violating the speed limit a bit and not get caught because the cops would have been distracted by the amount of cameras that came with your headlights, but a car probably would have come out in tears, like the iPhone, and severely overpriced at that. We'd have the regular Apple car, the Apple Car Max, and then an Apple Car Ultra, which would come with ports for phone chargers and air conditioning, unlike the lower tiers. The car failed, but what if the Vision Pro was meant to be a comeback? I believe I speak for everyone when I say we're all hyped for the Vision Pro's release back in 2023, especially the Apple fanboys. We're sold this dystopian looking but seemingly humanity moving headset that would seamlessly integrate into everyday life. A big reason for the hype was the Vision Pro being a new innovation to come out under Tim Cook. We kept on getting iPhone after year, but we found out that we were finally going to get something new. The iPhone was the flagship under Steve, now the Vision Pro would be Tim's. And on February 2nd of the following year, it was released in the US and globally through 2024. To disappointing acclaim. How? It was Apple's first spatial computer, for Pete's sake. It had a cool goggle looking face, a new operating system, an M2 chip, built-in surround sound speakers. You could even pet dinosaurs in it. Yeah, but the headset was a headache to put on your noggin, and you had to carry this huge battery around with you. It isn't as sleek if you need a portable brick in your pocket to charge it every 2 hours, and don't get me started on those FaceTime avatars. I'm not going to criticize much because the Vision Pro felt more like an experimental or beta product rather than something fully polished, but a mistake Apple made was marketing it as that, something fully ready to be used by the general public. And contrary to the company's belief, most people don't have 4 bands to cough up for a more expensive Meta Quest, especially my generation. I do believe in extended reality or spatial computing being a potential successor to the smartphone, and I'm glad that Apple and Meta, especially the latter, are actively developing that space, but the Vision Pro was more of a prototype, not a household name. Investors hammered down on them, and Apple had to stop its tried and tested strategy of waiting for other companies to perfect a new technology before jumping in. It had set its eyes on AI. And with one word, Siri, Apple's market cap had plunged by $75 billion in a matter of minutes after it was mentioned by Craig Federighi just on stage going through Apple Intelligence. And one name changed the entire atmosphere. If you ever feel like buying some stocks, just remember that moment. Now, I don't understand why a multi-trillion-dollar company wouldn't be able to use its vast resources to simply build its own LLM instead of a branded wrapper for ChatGPT. It partnered with OpenAI for Apple Intelligence, and even though there was a third party involved, Apple promised users' data would still remain private. And while I don't believe the partnership actually poses a real risk to your privacy, I do find it ironic that it's being trusted with a company outside Apple's control and in numerous lawsuits. Apple Intelligence was the company's effort to upgrade Siri after years of complaint over its beloved voice assistant, and also a way to steer this field into the horns into its domain by rebranding it from artificial intelligence to Apple Intelligence. Ooh, yeah. Because that's essentially just a way to use someone else's product, there isn't much of a difference between Apple Intelligence and ChatGPT, because one is carrying the other. And have you noticed how, I don't know, bad it's being marketed? I mean, it's already a low effort product from Apple, but they market it as something to prove those who use it are stupid. No offense, and I don't want to be taken as an Apple hater, though that's probably because I won't be able to afford the iPhone 20 Pro Max Ultra by the time it's out. But I don't need a reminder to take a shower or to consult with Siri for a simple thank you email, and other trivial tasks. It just seems like this technology should be used for more important issues, but I'm just one of the consumers they sell to, so what do I know? Apple's coming to a decline in innovation, and it probably won't collapse tomorrow and everyone forgets about it, but right now, it's looking like it will join IBM's club of corporate bureaucracies if things don't change soon. The iPhone's monopoly used to be untouchable, the Apple Car never saw it launch at all, the Vision Pro's in beta even if Apple denies it, and Apple Intelligence isn't ready for use at all. But that leaves space in the market for someone like me and you to disrupt and build our own empire. Something you should know about before going on to build that business is the quiet downfall of streaming. So click on this video to find out why, and thanks for watching.